What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Straight Facts Show. I'm Mr. Straight Facts. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I had a good time. I do another show, and we had a good time watching some old school movie. But anyway, getting to the facts of today. One, I woke up and found information about it wasn't called a hearing. I forgot what it's called, but it was testimony of two people that I think the world should hear if you did not hear it today. One is from a whistleblower by the name of Ryan Swank, and the other one is from Miss Tayana Gibson-Brown, her testimony of what happened to her with ICE and DHS and things of that nature. We need to step up and talk about that first. All right, so we're going to go ahead and watch. What's up, Mark D? We're going to go ahead and watch that and hear what they have to say and, talk about it at the end, on the back end of it. So let's get it.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, Representative Garcia, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Schwank. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution when I joined ICE on August 1st, 2021, as an Assistant Chief Counsel. I followed that oath for 4.5 years, working side by side with ICE officers. And I followed it when I resigned on February 13th, 2026, a little over a week ago, so that I could speak to you today. I am here because I am duty-bound to report the legally required training program at the ICE Academy is deficient, defective, and broken. 5 months ago, I was asked to teach the law to new cadets at the ICE Academy in Glencoe, Georgia, where ICE is training its new, inexperienced recruits. I volunteered, those without law enforcement training, I volunteered to take on this assignment based on my experience in law enforcement oversight, including at the state and local level prior to my work with ICE. On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution by entering homes without a judicial warrant. For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority. For example, they ceased all of the legal instructions regarding use of force. This means that cadets are not taught what it means to be objectively reasonable, the very standard which the law requires them to meet when deciding whether or not to use deadly force. Our jobs as instructors are to teach them so well that they can make split-second decisions about what they can and cannot do in life or death situations. Yet, in the name of churning out an endless stream of officers, DHS leadership has dismantled the academic and practical tests that we need to know if cadets can safely and lawfully perform their job. All to satisfy an administration demanding they train thousands of new officers before the end of the year. DHS told the public that new cadets receive all the training they need to perform their duties, that no critical material or standards have been cut. This is a lie. ICE made the program shorter, and they removed so many essential parts that what remains is a dangerous husk. No reasonable person would believe a training program suddenly cut nearly in half could meet the minimum legal requirements. These aren't abstract rules. They're required in regulations such as 8 CFR 287G1. Congress requires immigration officers to meet minimum standards for a reason. ICE cannot lawfully perform their duties, make arrests, carry weapons, and use force without passing appropriate training. New cadets are graduating from the academy despite widespread concerns among training staff that even in the final days of training, the cadets cannot demonstrate a solid grasp of the tactics or the law required to perform their jobs. Without reform, ICE will graduate thousands of new officers who do not know their constitutional duty, do not know the limits of their authority, and who do not have the training to recognize an unlawful order. That should scare everyone. DHS assures the public these cadets can get the job training on compensate for anything missing at the academy. This is a lie. Many graduates go to their home office just long enough to get their gun, their badge, and their body armor before deploying to places like Minneapolis and other ICE operations with minimal supervision. It's shocking that anyone would think this is safe or responsible. And this pattern of lies is not isolated. It extends beyond the training program to include deceiving Congress and the public about the rules followed by ICE officers once they graduate. On my first day at the academy, I was instructed to read and return a memo in my supervisor's presence, which claimed ICE officers could enter homes without a judicial warrant. The acting ICE director authorized the very conduct that DHS, in its own 2025 legal training materials, had called the chief evil against which the wording of the Fourth Amendment is directed. That is, physical entry of the home without consent or a proper warrant. Never in my career had I ever received such a blatantly unlawful order, nor one conveyed in such a troubling manner. Incredibly, I was being shown this memo in secret by my supervisor, who made sure that I understood that disobedience could cost me my job. ICE is teaching cadets to violate the Constitution, and they were attempting to cloak it in secrecy by demanding that I lie about it. I am here to convey to the public the danger that is being created at the ICE Academy. I know from my conversations with many facility members, many of the faculty, that I am not alone in my fear. Law enforcement is a deadly serious business. It is not a place for shortcuts. Deficient training can and will get people killed. It can and will lead to unlawful arrests, violations of constitutional rights, and a fundamental loss of public trust in law enforcement. ICE is lying to Congress and the American people about the steps it is taking to ensure its 12,000 new officers faithfully uphold the Constitution and can perform their jobs. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today and happy to answer any questions you have now or in the future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Schwank.
Okay. So I played it all out so that we could hear that and that it'll be a record for other people who may want to watch that clip without really any kind of interruption. And so what we learned from Mr. Swank is that Donald Trump and his minions for DHS, they're not training these people. Now you want to know whether the people, of course, they've blended the old ICE that did the things by law, the ones who were doing it under Obama, Biden, doing it by law, where you didn't see it, you weren't pissed off at it because they were doing their jobs, going through the process, giving people their due process. And if you win your case, you stayed. You lost your case, you left. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it was put down in our Constitution, and every president pretty much followed that. Donald Trump and his minions decided that they were just going to do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And they did not want to go through Congress. They didn't want to go through anybody. They didn't want to go through due process. They just wanted to have a record of being tough on immigration, but illegally tough, not legally, illegally. Picking just anybody, random people. You can see it all over the internet. Every social media platform has videos of Latin people, people of color, even some white people who have been harassed by these organizations. These people in the organization, the DHS and all the different people out on the street. And they want you to believe this is the old ICE. No, it's the new ICE. They got rid of the people in the old ICE. They got new ICE, and they're borrowing on the old ICE's reputation. People are thinking, oh, it's ICE. No, it's not ICE. This is fake ICE. They're not really ICE. They have not been trained properly to be ICE. And I would venture to say the way they respond and act, the majority of these people out on the street would not be accepted into ICE. Remember back in the day when you wanted to be, because I had friends I grew up with, you know, multiple different races, white, Latin, black, that wanted to be a part of like FBI, you know, having to go to Quantico, you had to have some real like ability to do that shit. You just couldn't be a dipshit and get these jobs. You couldn't be somebody who just like gung ho and just liked carrying a weapon and wanted to wield power. You couldn't be that person and get these jobs unless you could take these tests, unless you can go through all this rigorous training that wasn't like a good 3 weeks, 6 weeks. These trainings were like years long. And as the years go by, they've gotten shorter and shorter. I remember friends wanting to get into the FBI and couldn't get in because they couldn't pass. And they were smart people. They just couldn't pass certain tests. And therefore, they had to choose something else. Now, you got people in these offices working with people's lives in their hands with no training and nowhere. He even says the majority of these people could not pass the minimum fucking requirement. Yet they're out there taking people's lives. Now you get a better understanding why the killer of Renee Good, the killer of Alex Preddy, and many others that have died or shot in their presence, why they're not investigating. Because when they get to the investigation, the responsibility is the government, because they put a bunch of hothead, probably skinheads out here fucking people's lives up. These white nationalists who just somehow just disappeared. You don't hear nothing about them. They was always in the news. They was always on their podcast. They were always present. They're the ones who started January 6th, and you don't hear nothing about them now because you know they're the masked ones. They're not trained. They just put these animals out here to fuck with people of color just so that they can give their white nationalist people a feeling of, hey, they're taking care of it. You MAGA people, you Republicans who say you're not MAGA, but look the other way. They're out here harming people. They don't have any experience in doing this job. This is what they fucking call merit. Put a bunch of, you know, hothead white dudes that can't stand people of color and think that they own the country. Never mind the absolute fact that you stole this bitch from the natives, the indigenous. You're the fucking immigrant that needs to go. Never mind the fact that's the real deal. You come here and act like you're going to sit here and tell everybody they need to go because they're not white, Anglo-Saxon, or whatever you want to call yourselves, white nationalists. The fuck out of here. You're pissed off because nobody gives a fuck about you anymore. So you want to make the entire world like destroy it because you're not centered. If you haven't noticed, this country is free to everybody. And the only reason that you're trying to get rid of people of color because you're trying to make yourself important. You're trying to center yourself. And too many people of all different races, colors, and creeds are allowing it because we've been so used to this white, like, power structure that we're allowing them to do shit to people. Even if they don't look like us. Because you'll hear some of these Republican black people sitting there talking about, well, the country go to hell if white people wasn't ruling the country. How would you know it's never been any other way? This uncle, like, it's not even Uncle Tom. This coonish shit. It's like, dude, stop. What they're doing to people is wrong. You look out your window, and what I'm so happy to hear about is that many people have come together and created a system. If they see ICE, they blow a whistle to let people know to just scatter, go. People are taking care of their neighborhoods and saying there's something strange in our neighborhood and we need to let our people know because people in our neighborhood are good. You ain't gonna take my guy who helps me with gardening or my guy who helps me with business or CPA, my guy who may be, Latin or whatever, from Africa, whatever it may be, another country, that's here by the rules of this fucking country. They shaded people by thinking like, oh, it's the criminals. No, it is people who are following the due process. This is the thing that kills me. People are talking about, well, if they just follow the due process, they come to this country legally, they can leave and come back legally. That was a bunch of horse shit. Because the people who are going to their cases and following the law legally are coming out of the law, out of the court system, and either being snatched up, or a day or so later, ICE comes and grabs them after their court case, which they have followed every process and still in the process of becoming a citizen, and they follow the rules. It kills me when I hear people who are immigrants, no matter what country from, where you're from, if you're a Jewish person from Israel, whatever, or African person, or Latin person from a Latin country, whatever it may be, and you're a MAGA person, and you're sitting here, if they just follow the law and went the way they're supposed to do, then I did it the right way. My uncle did it the right way. My mom did it the right way. Well, they're taking people who are doing it the fucking right way, you dipshit. And you're still sitting here acting like, well, no. Your parents right now, if this was 19, whatever the fucking time they came into this country, following the rules, if Donald Trump was in order, if MAGA, what you are, was in order, your parents would be kicked the fuck out. Thrown in some kind of little jail or some shit. Some little camp for doing nothing other than following the fucking law as is prescribed, and then being called a criminal. For anything, you could have got 3 parking tickets. They're like, oh, well, you got 3 parking tickets. You came here and broke the law. You got a DUI. You broke the law. Get out. It's insane what's happening. And tomorrow's going to be the State of the Union, and Donald Trump's going to get up there and lie to every last one of us. Tell you the country's doing great. Everything's wonderful. And it's not. We are on fire. This country's in fucking chaos. We literally got Gestapo on the street picking up people, 4th graders. I mean, wrap your head around this, people. 4th graders. Think about what you was doing when you was in 4th grade. 4th grade, what you about? 9, 10 maybe. 4th grade. You get off your bus and you hear people say, run. 4th grade. Think about your brain process at 4th grade. You're scared of the fucking boogeyman still. Now throw a fucking real face and real guns to the fucking boogeyman. And the fear that these people have got to have in their homes, saying, if you see not a guy offering you candy, no, not a guy or woman that's trying to get you to help find their dog. No, if you see law and fucking order, run from it. Because they're not following the law. Those are the criminals. The criminals are the ones chasing 4th graders. Not because the 4th graders are immigrants, because they may have a family member that may be immigrant. So let's take the kid hostage and then go to the house that he lives in and see if we can find, maybe an immigrant lives there, but maybe not. But they don't give a fuck about terrorizing the shit out of a 10-year-old who's an American fucking citizen, just so they can hopefully find somebody in their home that speaks Spanish and then question if they are a citizen. And if they are, they're like, well, you don't sound American. You speak a different language. That's the idiot that's untrained out in these streets regulating America. Untrained. Just full untapped hate and racism. That's it. Free to roam the streets and do whatever the hell it wants. Worse than any gang that you could think of. Tren de Aragua, they follow rules. Their head people will take them out if they don't follow rules. These people get celebrated for not following the rules. The worst gang that you could ever think of. The modern KKK out here snatching people up. And we call it ICE now because they're hiding behind what ICE used to be. It's not what ICE is. They're trying to go off of what ICE used to be. And even then, people didn't like ICE. But back then, they went through the due process. If you were in court, following the rules, doing exactly what you said you're supposed to do, you wouldn't be kicked out the country until they got a ruling that said, you know what? You haven't followed the rules. You have to go. Through the courts. They hired more lawyers. They hired more judges. They increased it, and millions were gone under Obama, following the law and the rules. You may not like it, but that's what it was. Then Donald Trump comes in, grows the hate in this country, taps it, and then says, hey, take the spigot off and let it spew all over the place. And America just watches as this tyrant and these people fuck up the country. And it's so bad that every country notices it, and America sits around acting like we notice it, the country notice it, MAGA has no fucking clue. Lost in the sauce. The regular ones, the ones that are so hateful and don't understand that they've been fucking, and do understand that they tried to brainwash them, it ain't nothing but what they actually wanted. But they got so many white people and people of color to fall in line with this hateful way of doing things because they got them to believe that, oh, immigrants are coming here and taking your jobs. You haven't got one job since these immigrants been taken out. And none of y'all got a job because of that. You know it. We're going to hear, because I heard Ryan Swank say what he had to say. There's a woman who gave testimony as well. We're going to listen to her fully. And her experience is horrific. And just think, this is one of probably thousands. We done seen some ourselves, I'm sure, in your cities and states, Minnesota, all that. But this woman, what her and her husband went through, I said her husband, but her entire family. Again, I always say when people talk about, oh, let's get the criminals out, it's like, just listen to what these dipshits are doing because they're untrained. And that's another thing we're going to talk about, this untrained myth shit too. I mean, this is true that they're untrained, but I'm going to talk about it here in a minute about where we get this myth, this idea of training is going to solve these problems. It's bullshit, but we'll talk about it and right after we get finished listening to Miss Tiana Gibson-Borown.
Ms. Gibson-Borown, if you would please begin your testimony.
I'd like to start by saying thank you for the invite to be here to tell my story. I would also like to start by saying 12/29 was the date my husband checked in with ICE. He had another appointment on January 26th. This all happened on my oldest son's birthday. My name is Tiana Gibson-Borown, and today I stand before you not just to speak, but to bear witness. I am here to share a deeply personal and painful experience, how me and my family's Fourth Amendment were violated. Most days when I get off of my night shifts, the mornings have a usual routine for me. I know what to expect, and I expected the same routine of my morning on January 11th. I got off of work around 7:30 a.m., got home, and went to sleep at around 8:30. Except on this day, I was woken up to my husband, Garrison William Gibson-Borown, at around 9:30 a.m., telling me that ICE was outside of our home, banging at the door. The second I woke up, I could tell how terrified my husband was. This fear intensified when the constant banging at the door woke our 9-year-old daughter, Miss Anna, up. And from there, the fear only intensified. Garrison went to the door and asked the officers through the closed door about why they were at our home. Followed with this, he asked them if they had a warrant. The officers at the door told Garrison that they did have a warrant, and it was signed by a judge. When Garrison asked to see the warrant, the officer simply ignored his request. Although my husband and I may not be experts in the legality of some situations, we are aware of the fundamentals and understood how the Fourth Amendment shielded us from arbitrary government searches and seizures. Given this, my husband repeatedly requested to see the warrant. The circumstances outside of our home only intensified. We knew our rights, though. We knew no one could just barge into our homes without a warrant because this space was ours. The officers started surrounding our property. Our neighbors and other protesters started gathering around, demanding that the officers leave. There was patent fear that filled our home. Although me and Garrison tried to calm ourselves down, knowing that no matter what, our constitutional rights could not be breached by authorities that claim to be law enforcing bodies themselves. In no time, the scene only became more violent. Officers from the truck started shooting pepper spray at the protesters. Amid all of this, but 10 officers approached my front door. They looked like SWAT agents, holding each other's shoulders like a barricade. One of them grabbed a protester that was in the front of my yard from the front of his neck and the back of his head and slung him in the icy ground. The officers walked up to my door and started ramming the door. They hit the door 3 times until the door popped open. My stomach fell. I heard the door pop and I realized we were no longer protected. Far away from ever experiencing anything like this. We've never known anything of the sort. The officers stood at the door and they were pointing their guns at us. 10 officers that were all armed were standing in front of me and my family. Words can never be sufficient for me to portray what sorts of horror we felt in this moment. I stood between the officers and Garrison, and I asked the officers yet again to show me the warrant. Despite all of this, they did not show me anything. My daughter and my little cousin, both children, were rushed in the room by my sister and were told to hide in the closet. The fear in my daughter's eyes is something you can't imagine.
Thank you.
That part. The entire thing, but that part. Destroying Latin babies getting off their bus. 4th grade. They're running from people who are supposed to be doing their job as law enforcement as far as immigration. But there's not the boogeyman. It's not a pedophile. It's not a kidnapper. It's not a killer. It is the people that the government pays to do their job to get immigrants, not grab babies. And then a man who goes to his appointment by law, follows said law for immigration, does everything he's supposed to do, and then they come after him for what? They said they had a warrant. Did they produce it? No, they didn't. They never produced it before coming into the home and never produced it as they were in the home. That's not any kind of process of what they're supposed to do. They're not trained in this. This is not the ICE of old. It may be the ICE of the late 80s, early 90s, in the 90s. And I forgot the young Latin man's name, where there's the infamous picture of the Latin kid inside a closet or something like that, scared why a DHS or immigration agent, ICE, has a rifle or something like that either pointed down or pointed toward the child, something to that nature, the angle. And there's a child, a baby, no weapon. You're walking in with a gun, terrified for the rest of his life. All these people being terrified because you don't know how to do your job. Your weapon should never be pulled unless you feel there's a threat. Your threat shouldn't be their race. It shouldn't be the mere fact that they're immigrants. You don't have a... Here's the thing that's killing me. You don't have... Usually when a police officer or something like that is going after somebody, they are notified that these people are maybe armed and dangerous. So be on the lookout for a weapon or whatever it may be. You don't even know who the fuck you're trying to come get. So why would you think they would have a weapon? Why do you think they're a criminal? Because you haven't done your homework. When the other ICE agents prior to, they literally knew who they were coming after and what offenses they were guilty of, or at least accused of, and the paperwork was there. We're looking for, Sam Samuelson. That's him. Well, thank you, ma'am. We need to get him. We got a warrant for his arrest. Boom, you got him. That's the due process part. Starts off following the law. Not put your gun on him, ask him where it's at. If he, in his record, says that he has brandished a gun over and over again, then you come, not with guns blazing, but a first an address of where is he type of thing. None of this gung-ho, bust down doors. That's not a thing. It is, but it's not supposed to be a thing. And these people have no idea how to do this job. None. And each person that is breaking not just the rules, they're breaking laws, which means they're coming in as criminals. And I really want people to kind of pay attention, because a lot of people don't recognize like history or try to address history. They think of just right now. Who did this in the past? They created cops to find slaves. Police, they would go into people's homes and snatch up slaves that they believed were still slaves and weren't free. Even if you were free, they just come and snatch you up because you're still black. You had to prove it. Do you got your papers on you? Yeah, I got my papers. We're in a do you have your papers country again. And you don't think this is not like Jim Crow. You don't think this is not like slavery. You don't think this is not like the Gestapo. They would get Jewish people. They just break into people's homes. I can smell a Jewish person. And just walk in and try and find somebody without any due process, any like whatever. No laws, just walk right in. These people are creating damage, tearing down doors, leaving these people with a bill to pay, even if they fucked up. And that's America. It shouldn't be. Everybody should be pissed at this, but you got that 30%, and then those other ones who, we're just following the law. You're not following the law. That's not the process of the law. And the fact is you don't know the fucking law. Look it the fuck up and then decide which side you're going to be on. But just don't be on somebody's side because they're part of your party. They're part of your ideology of you hate immigrants, even though all of you are immigrants. It's crazy as shit. Just the lack of reality in each one of these people that has a problem with immigrants. You are a fucking immigrant. And your family came here the same way they're coming here. Some came legally, some came illegally and went through the process and became legal. And we didn't have this mass killing from Latin people and Indian people and Asian people who were here legally or illegally. There was no mass killing from immigrants. They were just working, trying to make the country a better place. Donald Trump made up this bullshit about millions and gazillions of millions and trillions of people are coming. And every last racist, every last person who can't compete for a job, lazy as fuck, got upset and thought that people of color or Latin people or immigrants was taking your job. They can't take your job if you're doing your job well. And if they do take your job, It's not them you should be pissed at. It's your boss who decided to get rid of you because you cost more and get them because they're cheaper and poorer. That's your boss you should be pissed at. But you're pissed at the people who are picking fruit all fucking day, which you ain't gonna do. You pissed at the people who work hard enough to get on a construction site, non-union at first, doing 10 times more work than you'll ever do. And the reason why they're hiring them, because they'll do that for nothing. That's your boss who's doing that. That person can offer to work for free. It's your boss's choice to say, "Nah, I can't do that." It's always a fucked up aspect of it. You let the rich people who do the shit get away with it and get pissed off at the people who are trying to eat. You would do the same thing. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna even bet. I know for fuck sure that your family members who came here as immigrants did the same fucking thing. Exact same thing. You ain't pissed off at your great Uncle Horace, are you? No, you're not. You love your history. But Horace did the same fucking shit 75 years ago, 100 years ago. And you ain't pissed off at him, but you pissed off at Juan today. Fucking hypocrites. Her family was terrorized. That baby will never forget being stuffed into a closet like she Anne Frank or some shit in the 2026 so that she won't see what they may do to her dad. While she's in the closet, could you imagine the shit that was going through this child's head? They don't care about that. MAGA doesn't care about that. They're heartless human beings. No empathy, no sympathy, just filled with hate and division. Don't give a shit about what that child went through. But let you do that to one of their white kids. They will fucking go nuts. They would get every gun in their house and try to unalive everybody around them doing that to their kids and feel justified in doing so. And everybody else who goes through that is supposed to just suck it the fuck up. Fuck you. Now, Donald Trump is coming into the State of the Union unpopular. He's been unpopular with us forever. But independents, they're now 26% of them still like him. 73% of them disapprove of him. The idea that 26 of you independent dipshits could literally be for him, I have no idea. I don't understand why these numbers aren't like 99-1. My brain can't fathom an idiot that thinks that doing what he's doing to people, not even people, independents, the 26%. Let me show you because in case people don't think I want to be factual. This is the poll. I want to speak to this 26%. This man, on average, every family in this country, on average, because of these tariffs, you have spent $1,000 more than you were supposed to on whether it be groceries, whether it be products, $1,000 more. That's one poll. There's another one that says, I think 1,700 or whatever, 16, something like that. And that was Illinois. He did some kind of, I don't know where that poll came from. But that was Governor Pritzker said $1,700. Let's just break it in between, just say $1,500 maybe. That's how much money everybody has paid more, independents, because of tariffs. This man literally talks about Donald Trump, brags. Oh, we've taken in because he's been saying trillions and trillions. But once the government says, the Supreme Court says you got to return all the money back, we took in hundreds of billions. No, fool, you said 15, like something like $1 trillion or some shit. $18 trillion you've taken in. You've been bragging in the trillions. But when they told you, you got to pay this money back because you've been illegally, not legally, illegally. And here's the thing, 26% in MAGA, your president is a lawbreaker, a criminal, stealing money like he did in his 501c3, where he was stealing money like he did in taxes, stealing money, saying building is worth something and then saying it's not worth something, and then saying it is worth something so he can get money for it. Stealing taxes, doing illegal shit, and here we are. He not only pulled his con of illegalities on New York, he's been doing it to every fucking American since he got into office this time around that we know of with these tariffs. Telling Americans, this money's coming from other countries. They're giving us trillions of dollars. They're investing in us. No, they're not. And why all this shit's just festering up where we're paying all this money and these idiots don't know what a fucking tariff is, after a year and some change, they're like, well, looks like a tariff is a tax. No shit, dipshit. Thought you were going to get your $2,000. Didn't happen. Now that they said it was illegal tariffs, he's like, you ain't getting it back. We know you fucked up. We know that you're afraid to admit it. And you do deserve to be talked shit about. Nobody needs to hug you and shit and say, oh, come on over to the common sense side. You should be beating yourself up for being so fucking stupid. That you took money out of the mouths of you and your family because some orange creep, this person who's been accused of being a pedophile more than once, that you say you hate pedophiles, but you love that orange one. How many kids have to come forward to tell you that they got raped by Donald Trump before you start to even fucking believe them? It ain't gonna take number one for me. There's already 3 that I know of, possibly 4. And you still on this, where's the evidence? A child said it. An adult who was a child at the time said it and had details about it. Not just made the fucking shit up. One literally had a witness in it, a woman by the name Tiffany. And she would testify back in that day if they called upon her. So where's Donald Trump in his, like, I wasn't there. Where's your proof that you weren't in the building? Where's your proof that you knew nothing about these people? Let's ask these young ladies when they knew, what did it look like? If they can describe his unit, then throw his ass in jail. Let's do that. Let's play that game. They can describe it. Tell you where the freckles at. Tell you whether it's got, a hood on it, and not circumcised, whatever. Let's have them describe it. If they can describe it to a T, like they did to Michael Jackson, tell him to pull his pants down. Pull his pants down. If these kids can recognize what it looked like prior to and it matches, throw that bitch in jail for life. Let's just make it simple. But you guys don't want to do that. Because that'll make you feel like, oh shit, this entire time I was suckered by a pedophile. I voted for him. I can't say that because I can't take responsibility and accountability for my fucking actions because I'm a piece of shit human. That's why you won't admit what this dude really is. Everybody sees him for what he is. Every country sees him for what he is. Every person with a fucking brain cell in their head sees him for what he is. Just you guys don't. But don't get it twisted. You see it. You're just too much of a wimp to admit it because that means you support pedophilia. It's crazy. You're stuck in this little conundrum where you have to support pedophilia at the same time saying you hate it because you don't want to be a dumbass. Well, excuse me, whether you admit it or not, you're a fucking dumbass. It's ridiculous. So he has these people, the independents, 26%. I still don't understand that. That shit should be in the low 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that, low digits. And that should just be an anomaly. Got 26% of independents. Y'all are trash if that's the case. There is no like mid ground for that shit. It's either you're for or against it. I'm against pedophilia. You for it, then you the 26%. Because he ain't did shit else for you. What did Donald Trump do for you? What policy has helped you this past year? None. Because there aren't any other than destruction. Destroy democracy. Make you feel, make white right again is what you're feeling. That's what you should be called. Make white right again. That's what the whole thing is. Just want to feel better because all these people hating on us because of my ancestors shit. I'm like, well, ancestors was kind of shitty to a lot of people. We're mad at them. The only reason you feel is mad at you is because you want to cling on to these evil bastards and act like they were good people. They weren't. I mean, I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer's family is like, but my uncle was such a nice guy. He used to bring me cookies. Man, he used to make this meatloaf all the time. Just beautiful. Had a weird taste. Had some weird bones in it. I'm sure his family was like, oh, he was such a great person. But I doubt they're over here now if they found out that they probably was eating people because that's what their uncle did. I doubt they're trying to make everybody feel like their uncle's a great person. You guys are. Your ancestors were worse than him. They ate people. Many of the people in the ancestors, they ate people. They ate people of color, black people. They did the same shit Jeffrey Dahmer did. And you want us to look back fondly at these fuckers. You ridiculous. Nobody wants to look fondly back at some of your ancestors. Now, these aren't all everybody's ancestors. Not all y'all related to these weird people. But those are the ones that we're talking about. The evil ones, where you're trying to throw up statues for them. Throw up a statue for a good person that did something in history, no matter what race, color, or creed it is. Instead of these evil people. Oh, well, yeah, he did eat people, but you know what? He did write the whatever. I don't give a fuck what he wrote. That's ridiculous. He was a good writer, but he ate people. But he wrote really well. But he ate people. Why do you keep talking about this ate thing? I mean, so what? He likes extra protein. But this letter is just immaculate. I'm like, the fuck are you arguing? I'm supposed to glorify a fucking cannibal because he can write good sentences? You fucking stupid. These people are sick. Did you see today Jeanine Pirro? Jeanine Pirro. She comes out, I think, with a letter. I didn't see her personally, but with information to say, basically, she is no longer basically trying to get these 6 Democrats for basically telling the law. No basic. They told what the law is to people. And you start to understand that with ICE, they don't want them held responsible. They don't even want them really even knowing the law. They just want them to follow orders. That's it. And they'll be, given they'll be promised immunity from whatever the hell they do wrong. We don't care. Do what you got to do. The Gestapo. So anybody that tells these people, even these people, that I don't care what Donald Trump says, you break the law, you going to jail, buddy. That's just going to happen. Donald Trump's not going to be there forever. And killing people and harming people in the street is not something that goes away in 2 months, 6 months, or even a one-term presidency. So you will face the law after this dude either croaks or gets out of office. So you're not untouchable. Donald Trump may have released y'all, but that doesn't mean that we can't arrest y'all again for some other shit you've done. White nationalists. They know who you are. They're going to find out who you are. And once it's out of office, your ass is going to jail. So enjoy your moments of breaking the law with impunity because of Donald Trump. America's going to get you eventually. It's going to catch up. Karma's a bitch. It's going to catch up with you eventually. But with Jeanine Pirro, same situation. They're trying to go after these individuals, the 6 Democrats, because they told them that you don't have to follow an unlawful order. That's the same information that you would get in this training with the DHS, that you would get with the military, the FBI. You don't have to follow an unlawful order. And that's why they was calling this shit, like, you putting into the psyche of America that we're trying to make these people follow unlawful orders, and you're telling them not to do it because they'll be held responsible, even though Donald Trump and his minions got them believing that they got free reign, that Donald Trump is not going to charge them for doing anything because Donald Trump is the head of them, and he's telling them what they could do. They can break the law. It's okay. I got you. But then when you get actual law enforcement people, the actual people who are creating the laws, House and Senate, when they're saying, Jack, this ain't gonna last for long. You can go to jail and you can go for a long time. That's why they were pissed, that they were informing Americans and military people and everybody that you don't have to follow an unlawful order. And they made it national. Donald Trump was trying to strike it down with Janine, wine drinking, wino Pirro, that she was going to chase down whatever he asked her to do. These people know they're breaking laws. Janine Pirro, I don't know, like I said, everybody that this woman ever sent to either jail or anything, when she was a lawyer, she was a judge, I don't know what she did over, but every case should be looked at. She does not have great judgment. Her judgment is trash. And she's willing to break the law just so that she can have whatever it is that she wants in life. Which tells you, as a judge, she was not a good judge. She was only a judge. She could have been bought easy. Look how she's being bought right now. Donald Trump let her husband out of prison, partnered her husband for breaking crimes. She comes from a family of criminals. Her husband's a fucking criminal. And she wanted him out of jail. She's a judge. Then she gets into power and she starts breaking laws. Why on earth, any case this woman had in her life, would you really trust that she followed the law for whomever she put in jail or whatever she was? I don't know whether she was a person who put people in jail or she just punished people financially. I don't know. But every case should be looked at. That's all I'm saying. That's what they should be doing. Because her going after these 6 Democrats, when they didn't break a law, they literally told people, don't break the law. I understand a party that used to profess, law and order, law and order, law and order. And then when 6 Democrats come out and say, follow the law and order. And they're like, what? You're telling people to follow the law and order? I'm going to break the law. I'm going to break order and try to put you in jail for telling them to follow the law and order. Psycho. These people don't have a belief in anything. They follow the wind, and anybody who doesn't stand for something will fall for everything. These people don't stand for anything. Nothing. Just power, money, fame. That's why they get so pissed off that the Democrats don't really have to do anything but care about people. And we get all these major stars loving the Democrat Party. Why? Because their platform is all about caring and loving on people, and music is love. I guarantee you, all the Satan worshiping music people, all the people who like to sacrifice humans, they love Republicans. Why? Because they have no fucking morals. They switch with the wind. With enough money, they'll let you do anything. They don't care. They literally have no problem with Latin people and people of color who are following the law to be immigrants in this country, them being treated horrible. American citizens being treated horrible because they look foreign to them. They've seen the videos where agents have gone up to people that are just like pumping their gas or, in the grocery store, whatever it is, coming out of the grocery store. They done seen it, and people are like, where you from? Fuck you. Who are you? What the fuck, where am I from? I'm from my own business. well, you don't look like an American. This is the things that these people are doing, just walking up to random people. They've seen it. But they're too caught up in their devil worshiping bullshit that they don't have a problem with them doing evil shit. You look at that and you don't see evil. You see niceness. You see somebody trying to protect something. What are they trying to protect by walking up to a random person? Never heard them speak in their life. Just walked up to him and said, you look like you could be foreign. Say something. Like, who the fuck are you? Get out of my face, dude. Say something. Go. And he's trying to arrest them and tackling people. The one African dude, or he had African accent or whatever, was at a gas station. You don't sound like you're an American. He said, dude, I'm American. I got passport. I got this and that. What are you talking about? They're just going after people that are different than them. And here they are. Can't even complete a fucking real sentence and talking about other people. I guarantee you the African person, if you took a test, would run circles around the dude that's asking him questions. Is more of a value in this country than that man would ever be. Probably makes more money, probably has a better education, probably has done more for people in this country, is more of a benefit to this country, and I guarantee you he knows the history more than this dipshit who's asking somebody, "What? Tell me how does your language, where are you from?" That dipshit needs to go. The one asking that question needs to get the fuck out the country. Because I guarantee you, if you took a test of what this country is and what it stands for, that African dude would run circles around that white dude that feels like he belongs here just because his skin's white. If you don't know the country, you should get the fuck out. Go to the country that you profess to love, because obviously it's not this one. Because if you don't know the history of this country, why the fuck you here? Go somewhere where you like the history of. You're not entitled to this country. Who the fuck do they think they are? Most of them are immigrants. It came here a certain time. Who the fuck you think you are? An immigrant trying to tell other people that they can't come. You're an immigrant. So what? You're an immigrant. Deport yourself. Don't like it? Leave. She says, and I think it's a quote, while a potential case against the 6 lawmakers is now considered dead in Washington, that decision wouldn't necessarily bar a federal prosecutor from trying to bring a case in a different federal court district, though there have been no public indications that will happen either. They're trying their best to get Democrats who are American citizens who literally say the Constitution, the law, even in the military law, you don't have to follow an unlawful order. Just want you to know that. And the country has spent millions of dollars trying to put people in jail for telling people what the laws of this country is. This doesn't sound crazy to you people. We spent money to try to put innocent people in jail because dipshit Orange is pissed off that people are trying to usurp his fake ass power. He doesn't have the powers that he wants. He's not a king. And they should not be following his orders. They should be telling him, well, sir, he didn't break any laws. He just told the truth. That right there would be somebody that would, if they were a judge in their day, like Jeanine Pirro was, she should have told him, this is not a case to be had, Donald Trump. I know you're mad. I know you want it, but it's a waste of money to try. They didn't do anything illegal. Sorry. That right there would be a person who follows the law and order. She did none of that. So that tells you she's not qualified for this job and that she doesn't care about law and order. And again, every case that she's ever had in her life needs to be dismissed. Anybody in jail because of her need to be let go. Even if they were a criminal, they need to let go because this woman did not do it justice. None whatsoever. There's no way she could. Look at the way she judged. This judgment, going after people for telling people what the law is in this country. Wow. Remedial. remedial. This is what they call merit. Dumbass white people is merit. That's what they, dumbass white people, what is that? DAWP, DOP. Dumbass white people is merit to them. Yo, today I saw something because I had to find a video that luckily somebody had already done it. Cockeyed Cash Patel. This man, I think it was during President Biden's time. Whereas, excuse me, I got sneezed. This would tell you how, and MAGA should listen to this, but they aren't going to listen. When Joe Biden came into office, he could have caused an uproar and said, I want to get rid of the FBI agent. He's got to go. I got to put in my own person. Now, I know they get contracts and stuff like that, and they're supposed to be there for like 10 years or something of that nature, how it's supposed to go. But Donald Trump did it. He got rid of the FBI agent, Christopher Wray, put in another dude that was in there temporarily, and then they brought in this dipshit Cash Patel, cockeyed Cash Patel. So when you think about that, and you say, okay, there was a Republican, Christopher Wray, that was the head of the FBI the entire time that Biden was in office. He didn't have no like, I can't have a Republican leading the office. He was like, it's an independent office and they're supposed to look up things and they only come to me for advice or, or consult on whatever may be that's a national worry. But if it's literally them doing their job, you don't have to report to me day to day on that unless it's a national security problem. So they do their job, independent agency. Donald Trump comes in, it's no longer an independent agency because he put a bunch of numbskulls in office that don't know how to do the job. So they run to Donald Trump, and their merit, their justification for everything is like, if Donald Trump is happy, I'm doing a good job. Not the Constitution or the people that I am defending as they're the ones who really are paying me. No, they're like they're on retainer for Donald Trump, and whatever Donald Trump wants, they do, i.e. Epstein files. Donald Trump didn't want his name taken out of it. Epstein files been there the entire time. Why the fuck you got to take his name out? You knew he was in them. Merrick Garland knew he was in them. So if you didn't charge him then, Merrick Garland, with knowing what's in it, Bill Barr knew what was in him. He didn't try. Okay? And then you get this dipshit, Cash Patel, cockeyed Cash Patel, who literally says, I'm coming in office and getting rid of all the, the what do you call it? They call it, anyway, like the swamp or whatever they want to call it. Get the swamp out of there, whatever. And he comes in and becomes the swampiest thing. They all smell like just rotten fish. Dan Bongino comes out and tries his best to kind of, act like we still are, Republicans and MAGA, and shut the fuck up. He has no conversation to be had. You went in talking about you was going to get these pedophiles and Donald Trump's name's all over it. You shrunk like a fucking raisin. And then you come out because you couldn't take being a pedophile lover, being so close to it. You got out and then came out and still stands by the side of the pedophile while saying nothing anymore. You can't get that man to talk about the Epstein files. You mean the dude that made millions off of, we're going to get in there, we need to get in there and find people and Epstein, money, Epstein. You go in there and find out the dude that you've been licking the nuts of, the orange creep pedophile in chief. You come back out and you ain't got shit to say about the women. You ain't got shit to say about this pedophilia ring, nothing. All you got to say earlier on in your position, he killed himself. That was it. Done deal. I think your MAGA people deserve you to say something about the Epstein files. Other than There's nothing to see here because they know there is. We all have like 3 million of them or whatever, and there's close to 3 million left. Dan Bongino and your fans who watch him, ask him what's in the other 3 million. See if he speaks. I guarantee you he won't say nothing. I thought he cared about him. He won't say nothing. You haven't even seen him come and talk to or ask any of these women to be on his show. Dan Bongino, why aren't you asking the women who are the survivors to be on your show and tell them that, you felt sorry for what's happening and something should have been done? Come on to my show and talk about it. Why don't you do that for your MAGA people? Because you were hollering and screaming about it and took money from them that you was going to do it, but you haven't lived up to any of the shit you said you was going to do. I'm just confused by your moral, your ethics, your code here. I thought you had a moral code. You made it seem like you were ethical. You was arguing about it. It's so animated. And now you're fucking wussy about it. Talked to Kash Patel for like an hour and a half and didn't even mention it. Not a word. Why? It was the only thing you and cockeyed Kash Patel could talk about to bring your numbers up into the millions of following you and giving you money all the time on your YouTube and all your other channels. Now you're hush hush. MAGA, they never cared about you or this entire thing. They used you to get in power. They got what they wanted. Now it's up to you to hold them responsible or cower like you normally do to orange people and decide that you're just going to do nothing about what you profess to care about. I think y'all just cared about it because you thought it was going to harm the libs. Once you found out that it was your orange creep in chief that was in the files more than anybody else, now you don't care about it anymore. What now? Anything that he cares about? You want to care about the stock market? You want to tell us about the stock market even though you don't really own any stock? Piece of shit humans, boy. But this is cockeyed Kash Patel being a full-on fucking hypocrite.
I'm just saying Chris Wray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go to vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes off.
That would be him with the USA hockey team winning and jumping around with alcohol and having a great time and throwing up in the air, putting a gold medal around his neck, acting a fool, having a great old time. While America's like trying to get these Epstein files, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. He's going out. And not only that, go out and have your fun maybe on your off time, whatever the hell it is. You're not there in an official capacity. And if you are, this is not what you do in an official capacity. But he's not there for an official capacity. He's there for a fun event. Just like he goes out with his girlfriend and it's all on Americans. He says in that clip, 2023, that Christopher Wray, federal director of the FBI, Christopher A. Wray at the time, Republican, mind you, went on vacation, according to Kash Patel, and it cost $15,000 to fly this plane and land it, come back. $15,000, I don't know if it's one way, both ways, whatever. $15,000. Maybe we just keep it land on the ground. It is estimated at least one of his events, if it wasn't this one, it was the previous one, was $75,000 of our tax dollars. So this fool, I think it was the last one, he could go out on a date with his girlfriend somewhere, some game or another. That was us. Why the hell he need a plane to go there? I don't get why he needs a plane to go to the Olympic situation here, not representing America in the sense in an official capacity. He's out there having fun on our dime. He said $15,000. The previous one he went through, not for this, he said $15,000 for Christopher Wray to go on vacation with a plane. That's how much it costs to just fly it and come back. Not spending money at the location. Just to fly and come back, 15 grand. That's what Kash Patel said. And here he is. This is at least his fourth event that I've seen where he's taken our plane, spent our money to do shit with his girlfriend one or two times, had Secret Service while he was nowhere near Secret Service. He was in another location, had his girlfriend tell Secret Service what the fuck to do, and she ain't in no official position whatsoever, which means whatever they were doing, Americans were paying because this man is happy that some woman wants to sleep with him. Alfalfa. Cockeyed alfalfa over here. Oh, somebody want to sleep with me. I'll let him have. This is what kills me. Just for some, you know what? This man breaks every rule for this girl, this young lady. And he's sitting here talking about Christopher Wray going on vacation with his family. And he out here hoeing around with every little trick he can find that would want to sleep with him. And he's talking about Christopher Wray. I'm not a Christopher Wray big time fan, but I know one thing. I didn't know anything about what Christopher Wray did except for his fucking job. Whenever I saw Christopher Wray, it was all about talking about in front of some agency, or whether it be the Congress, whether it be House or the Senate, answering for what he is supposed to be doing in his job. I didn't see no pictures of him going on vacation. I didn't see any of that shit. I saw this man do his job, whether I liked it or not. I didn't see all that extra shit he was talking about. But here, Kash Patel's in everything. Pictures of him doing shit, acting a fool, video cameras everywhere. He's living his best life on our dime. And he's already rich. And you know what's so trip? I remember when Christopher Wray, when he said something about Christopher Wray was going on some kind of trip like that, I remember it being something said about whether they were talking about the Republicans or whether it actually happened, but he had to pay whatever he did back, like the plane trip or whatever, he had to pay it back to the government. Is Kash Patel going to pay back what the hell he spent while he was going to this event in our plane, using our money? Is he going to pay for it? I doubt it, because he's a fucking hypocrite. All of them are. They lie to get in office and do the exact same thing, or even worse than the person they lied about to get in office. It's fucking, man. All I want is somebody to tell the fucking truth. It ain't gotta be good news all the time. Just tell the truth so we know what we're working with. Lies, we can't work with that. How do you work with lies? It makes no sense to me. I remember earlier I mentioned about untrained myth, and I'll go to that real quick. That was about ICE, and the whistleblower was talking about, I think it was Ryan Swank. He was talking about they weren't trained and stuff like that, and I get it. Even with police or anything like that. This is what I want to say about that before we get back on to the next couple topics. I'm sick of every time something happens from a law enforcement perspective, whether it be police officers, whether it be federal agents, I don't care what it is, anybody that's supposed to be trained in their position. I'm sick of the comment from the leaders once their employees fuck up when you say they need to be trained. I'm going to say what I need to say about that. Fuck you and your entire fucking family and lineage. Fuck all that training shit. You don't train racism, disrespect, and hate out of somebody by telling them that you shouldn't have did to this black person, Latin person, Asian person, woman, whatever it is that they did. You don't train that out of somebody. That is a person's actual belief, how they believe they should have acted, even though they knew the law. These people who break these laws know the fucking law. What you gonna train them on? You shouldn't have did that. Oh, that's some quick fucking training. And then they go on vacation, because that's what it's called when you tell somebody they gotta go home and still get their paycheck. There's no consequence for that. What did you take away from them? You put them on vacation, paid leave. That's a fucking vacation. What are they learning from that? So I'm getting tired of these statements of you have to train. Fuck that. You have to fire. No training. Stop the training. Because they should have been trained already. I don't see how when shit like all these different murders and shit that's happened in the past, Whether you think about George Floyd or, any other people back in the day that or even throughout life that we have always said, we need more training. No, you don't. You need more firing. You need to let go of the bad fucking apple in whatever agency. Let him or her go. There ain't no training to take out of them. They did that because it's in them to do that. They enjoy doing things like they did. Period. There's no training. Oh, we got to train in de-escalation. No, you got to train in firing. Because they do not deserve to have that job if they sit here and did something highly illegal. Mistakes, everybody understand that. Get written up for a mistake, get written up for a mistake, and third mistake. Might get written up again, might get fired. We get that. That's just normal. Breaking the law and then saying, oh, I didn't know that was the law, then it's your fault. Because I want to ask, these are the questions that I would ask. Were they trained to begin with? What is the manuals that they've been trained in so far? Okay. In Manual B, it literally says this is against the law. So you were trained on Manual B. Yup. Fired. What do you mean? Why do we need to give them Manual B again if they already knew it before they got the job that was against the law? They were already trained on Manual B. So they're gone. Bye, bitch. That's what I say. Because you keep waiting until this person has killed 7 people before you start to say, you know what, we got to let you go. You got to retire early. And they still get a vacation and a paycheck. That's bullshit. Nobody else on earth, except for these police forces that we're paying for, government, can retire or get laid off with a full paycheck. No, man, fuck all that. If you work at McDonald's and you burn the fries every fucking time, eventually they're going to fire your ass. Write you up a few times, fire you if you keep on fucking up. You should not be able to fuck up as much as these law officers and agencies keep fucking up. And then leave with your everything intact. While people's families are mourning because you fucked up. People's families are having to pay out the ass because you fucked up. People are paralyzed for life because you fucked up, and you walk around collecting your check like you didn't fuck up. You still on the street and retiring from a job when you're a horrible person. We got to check these agencies. I don't know about the funding agencies, but y'all need to go on a fucking firing spree. When you recognize a bad apple, get that bitch up out there. You see that this person's following a bad apple situation? Look, you fucking up, bro. Do it again, and it's over. Boom, cool. Did it again, out. No questions asked. Call your union all you want. You broke the rules, out of here. That's how you work this system out. You don't fucking sit here and give people 85,000 chances and let them retire and say they were a good, whatever, agent, officer. That's bullshit. Hold them accountable just like you will hold the fry guy accountable. Letting them get away with shit. The job is hard. Then get another fucking job. Another thing that happened. Now, this lady's got to stop doing stuff that makes sense because I don't like her. Not at all. But Nancy Mace came out and said another Republican needs to resign because he's in a scandal. This representative, what's his name? Tony Gonzalez. He had an affair, a relationship with a woman who committed suicide. I just found out about this today. I don't know nothing much about it, but I know that Speaker Johnson came out and was like, well, it's a rumor. We can't necessarily fire people for rumors. Do you know the Democrats let go? I can't remember his name. Is the comedian. Democratic, he was a comedian. They let him go because when he was a comic and going over for some USO military situation, there was a asleep woman in a chair or something like that on one of these planes, in the carrier planes, and him and some other dude were doing silly white dude shit. And don't get pissed off because it's some silly white dude shit. In college, I live with silly white dudes. You're the only people that do this shit that I know of. People sleep, you're drawing penises on them. You're walking around throwing feces on people and shit. You're putting lipstick on and kissing them and drawing all kinds of stuff. You're pulling their pants down, doing stupid shit. That's white boy shit. That ain't nothing black people doing. So yeah, silly white boy shit. When she was asleep, silly white boys wake the fuck up. Start doing silly white boy shit. So while she was laying down, they had their hands on her chest like this, but not touching them. Just, you could see, and they're making weird faces. He got kicked out of the, was he a senator? Yeah, senator. He kicked out as a senator because he did that back in the day. And here you are, Republicans, they have some of the most egregious actors out there, and they're like, well, we can't go off of rumors. You literally got this woman got emails and pictures sent to him, nude pictures and back and forth and shit while he's married, and she's a subordinate in the job that he works in. She works for him. Anybody, again, let's go back to McDonald's. If I'm a McDonald's manager and I'm having a relationship with the fry and pie girl, she unalives herself and pictures comes up about me and her being together while she was my subordinate, I'm no longer manager of McDonald's. And this is just McDonald's, fries and pies and burgers and shit. You're in the government. And you got Representative Mike Johnson saying, hey, it's rumor. Even rumor actually has pictures of nudity and emails and relationships with your subordinate. That's a rumor. It's actual fact. You got evidence, you dipshit. I mean, you don't need to go to court to get rid of him. Let him go through his court case, but he needs to get up out of the position. And what kills me is that me, and once again, Nancy Mace are on the same track. I can't stand the woman. She needs to stop this. No, I'm just kidding. She needs to keep it up, but I need to stop being hateful because I can't stand this woman. Not at all. She's gotten it right twice in the past lifetime, but she said we have zero tolerance for those who abuse their power over others. Zero. That would be nothing. We have no tolerance. It does not matter what party you are in. Lord have mercy. She's speaking like somebody who got sense. And then she'll turn around and say something stupid. But hey, let's keep her in the sense land right now. So it doesn't matter what party you're in, what title you hold, or how powerful you think you are. You do not get a free pass. Tony Gonzalez should resign immediately and be held fully accountable for what he's done. Amen. Amen. I agree with that. 1,000%. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, little person, heavy person, skinny person. I don't care what is it called? Vitiligo. I don't care what you got. I don't care what it is. Whatever's going on with you, you break the rules, break the law, break the whole process of society where a subordinate is not somebody you're supposed to be with. You're holding power over them. And it could be forced for all we know. It just looks bad. And in every professional position, whether you're at McDonald's or whether you're in the government, anything like that would get you kicked out. With Democrats, hold people accountable for that. Republicans do not. It tells you these people have no morals. No morals. Absolutely none. She has it. I said it. It almost made me throw up. But yeah. Mace has it. Nancy Mace has morals in this situation. I don't know what got her kicked into like logic, but as long as she stay here, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy. And I got one more thing I'm going to talk about, and that's before we have this State of the Union tomorrow. This country has been spiraling. And one thing I've learned under Trump first and second, and other presidents through this whole process of like, in this country, is that there are tiers of things that have to shift before the country either lifts or falls. And what I mean by is that when you're talking about stock market, that's heady, because you're talking about people who really get affected by that. It's like the top 3 to 5%, because they own majority of the stock. Everybody else is buying little small pieces of stock and derivatives of it and everything like that. But the ones who got it, the top 3%, 5%, they got it. So when the stocks go down, they're losing a lot of money and gaining. You're doing well, whatever, maybe on your 401k. But these are the people who have all the problems. And when they're rising, 9 times out of 10, rest of society's falling. Because they're the ones who's making a crap ton of money. In the majority of the country, they say 60% has some form of stock, but not enough to actually affect your life and making you rich or poor, but just to give you some more added income. And so the rest of the Americans who really aren't affected too much by that, you're dealing with what these corporations are doing with their wins and losses. So if they're losing or whatever, you're constrained. When they're winning, they're being cheap and still constraining you. So you never really win. That's why you have stats that come out and say shit like, even though the economy maybe 50,000 at one point, whatever, stock market, that people haven't had sustainable increases in their income for the last 40 years. And you're sitting there like, wait a minute, there's been so much up and down in the economy. We should be doing better. No, rich are doing better, but they're not trickling it down to nobody but them. And whenever they get these tax cuts and all this shit like that back, they just take more money out of the system, and therefore everybody else is scrounging for what's left. And for some reason, we keep giving these billionaires deference. They're some of them are good people. You can't amass that amount of money and not help people, and then talk about, I gotta let go of some people because our people need to make more money. I'm like, yo, you guys are making $1 gazillion a year. The fact that you're making that much money tells you that you're pretty much underpaying your employees. And so if you're underpaying them, give them the raise they deserve, and you're still going to be making a shit ton of money. They can't see that. They never want to take a pay cut, but they'll make you take one. They'll reorganize so they can get richer, and then tell you, well, we're going to have to fire you and rehire you at a lower rate. I'm like, wow. So I got to quit, get my job back. And all these years I worked to get to 150,000. Now I got to quit my job and come back at 110. I lost 40 grand. For what? Well, we got to cut back on the business. No, you want to give the 40 grand to the investors and yourselves. And we keep celebrating these pieces of shit humans. We keep buying their products. Al Franken. Thank you, Richard. Al Franken is who I was talking about earlier. And he did some silly white boy shit, but back in the day, and they let go. And you got these Republicans doing some of the most outlandish things. Some Democrats too, but they get rid of them. They charge them. Republicans be like, boys will be boys type of shit. They got a man in office that raped people, and they're okay with it. He literally got charged for assaulting a woman. And this is what trips me out. If they don't want to believe the teenage girls or the pedophilia, how can you ignore $80 million of him, what the judge said could be labeled rape, sexual assaulting a woman in a store, grabbing her by the vagina, just like he said he does on the bus with that other Bush guy. He says he does it. And because he says his locker room talk, I'm like, you can't connect 1 + 2, come up with 3? I mean, come on. It's shocking to me. They don't need that much. George Floyd laid down in the ground dying. You saw it on camera. These are the same dipshits that was trying their best to justify why he should have died. Other than the person who put the knee on his neck. And they're doing research trying to find out, oh, when he was young, he did this. He farted in school when he was 12. He cussed out a pastor when he was 17. And you're sitting there like, what? None of these things are true. But I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Why are you going into his past about something that this man who killed him didn't know his past? To justify killing somebody. They had to dehumanize him. They had to lessen his life. His life wasn't worth nothing. Look what he did. And it was all races doing this. Candace Owens was the biggest one that I remember doing it. And I'm like, you're justifying the death of a black man by saying he didn't lead a great life prior, but he should die because some white man had a knee issue that day? I mean, it just... Anyway, I learned that, you know, in this country, man, people just do not have any like moral foundation. Not everybody, but you see it. People without moral foundation. They look at what's wrong and they try to make it right. But only for whom they consider, what clan they consider to be in. The Republicans will seek whatever they can to make an egregious act right. If the person's a Republican or if the person's a white person. But they'll never do that for a person of color. That's what this country's about. What this country's about. But that's what I've learned in this country. But one thing before tomorrow, that's a win in a sense. You know, Donald Trump got rebuked by the Supreme Court justices who said that this man has been breaking the law the entire fucking time. Entire time. Donald Trump has been breaking the law. Go figure. Democrats already says he was a criminal. Everybody who had a brain knew he was a criminal. MAGA, who was lost in the sauce, or this orange sauce, they couldn't see it. Now that his Supreme Court, 6-3, even though he had 3 pieces of shit, Kavanaugh, I believe, Thomas, and Alito, trash human beings, those 3 was like, yeah, I think he should be able to break the law. They should not be judges. Because the Constitution says what he's trying to do, he can't do. And they're trying to usurp the Congress, not the Congress, but the Constitution, while being people who are supposed to uphold the Constitution. Boy, it's crazy. But now people want to know, especially businesses, how to get their money now. And the crazy part, Donald Trump has already said more than once that most of the money's gone because of things he did. People who he gave it to. It's like, wait a minute. You keep saying you got trillions. He even said like $18 trillion they don't collect it to invest in this country. And you haven't mentioned where you allocated any of this money. And all of a sudden, it's gone? I call bullshit. Good night, Johnny. Take care. See ya. And so I'm not understanding how that's working, where the money's gone. But what I am proud of today is that there has been a lawsuit filed, y'all. For real. There's been a lawsuit filed. And that lawsuit is by, I thought it was going to be by the people who won the case. You know what I'm saying? The men and women who were small businesses that won the case. But now, y'all, Federal Express has filed a lawsuit for a full refund of the money they spent in the shipping giant paid for tariffs unilaterally imposed by President Donald Trump, which the Supreme Court last week ruled were illegal. This is the first major corporation to sue Donald Trump, America, so to speak, for the money because of Donald Trump's tariffs. How are they going to pay these things back? Well, the court just said that that's the way it's supposed to be. They got to get the money back. But Donald Trump's like, but they didn't tell us how to give it back. Oh, now you need instructions on how to do shit. But you decided to go around Congress to put these things on. You had no problem figuring out how you're going to collect tariffs on people. But giving it back, you didn't have that kind of plan because you didn't think that Congress was going to do its job or the Supreme Court was going to do its job. Well, Congress didn't do its job. The Supreme Court, luckily, did. So now you got to figure out how to get these people their money back. And if you don't give it back, somebody should be going to jail, right? Somebody should be going to jail. Can we get the 25th Amendment? Somebody kick them out? Something. Impeachment? Because follow the money. Because to me, it sounds like Donald Trump is doing the same thing he did with his nonprofit. Collect a lot of money and spend it wherever he wants to spend it. I would check to see if he has any Cayman Islands or any kind of side banking accounts where this man is filtering his money into his personal accounts. I have no doubt that Donald Trump would do that. I have no doubt. He believes that he has immunity, and he is immune from breaking the law. So if he did it, he knows I'll get away with it because I have immunity. But that's immunity for doing things that the country needed. Like if you started a war, you're immune for starting a war. But you're not immune from breaking an absolute law, breaking the Constitution for your own personal gain. I don't think it takes that. That's not going to be something I think it would be able to uphold. So I would follow the money. Democrats, I haven't heard you guys say it yet, but you need to hold some kind of meeting or oversight of the tariff dollars. You have to, he keeps on saying 18 trillion. Now he's saying it's hundreds of billions or whatever. You need to know where that bank account is and you need to audit the fuck out of it. You hear me? Audit the fuck out of it. Because I don't understand how he's called it trillions and he says hundreds of billions once he finds out it's illegal. People on like CNN, MSNBC, and other places have said it's up to like 150, 250 billion dollars that he's made, not trillions. I don't give a fuck what it is. Audit it and see where the money is. Audit it and see where the money went. And if it's not spent, get that shit back. Give it back to the businesses. And businesses, you're going to have to figure out a way to get money back to your people who bought shit from you that you charged them too much for. Because if you get your money back, so should the people who bought from you. So I don't know what it needs to be in a rebate system where you need to look through your records because it's all digitized and realize who you threw all these tariffs on and how much. Was it 3%, 5%, all of it, whatever? And you got to figure out how to give them back a rebate or refund or a $20, $50, whatever it is, whatever you charge them, gift card. I don't care what it is. But it ain't going to stop at just you getting it back from the government because y'all getting lawsuits from citizens if you don't give them their money back. So we can play the class action suit. Or I would say, this is one thing I want to say to people. Fuck all that class action suit shit. If you have the money and the means, sue them individually so you can get your money back. Fuck all that 7,000 people come and y'all all get $65. Fuck all that. No, you give me all my money back. I'm getting the $1,500, $1,700, whatever that shit is. I ain't getting those $65 if a million of us file. Nope. So as these businesses sue, so shall we sue you if you don't give the people, the citizens, their money back for the shit you charged. I said what I said. So, a lot of these people say Richard got shit canned. So that's pretty much what it is. I'm so happy that FedEx did that today because it is a start for Americans to get back to what things were and also to hold these companies accountable. I understand that you had to try and figure it out. You may have overcharged. You may have did whatever you had to do. But you want to be treated right. So the people who buy from you, you should treat them right. Let's get back to a country, or at least try to get to a country that gives a shit about its citizens, about its customers, its employees. The better off that we are, or the better we treat others, the better off we are. That's the way I look at it. You don't have to fuck people over to get them to be the best employee at your company, or best investor and things of that nature. I mean, it's not hard to be a good person. It takes energy to be evil. And these people out here putting in a lot of energy to be evil, hateful, racist, disrespectful, sexist, xenophobic, all that energy wasted where it could be somewhere else. Something positive. And wherever this shit lies, you know I'm going to be there fighting it, just like everybody else. So I appreciate you guys. Much love to y'all. Thank you for my members. Thank you for my subscribers. Much love to y'all. We out here trying to do it. We will be here tomorrow. I don't know what time right now. At the top of my head, I didn't check it out. The State of the Union is. I will be watching it. I will be talking about it. I got to depend on when it goes live. I might come on and speak about it afterwards. So I might not be live tomorrow until late, because if it happens in the evening, I'm not going to go live before it. I'll go live after it, and kind of like take notes and talk about pieces of it. So if you are watching it, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. You guys have a great night. Y'all be safe. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate you as always. I'll see you guys when I see you.